Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Antis.
and today we are coming to you with the top 10 reasons you are going to hate Superman, Man of Tomorrow 2027. Mantis, are you ready to get on into it?
Can't wait to hate.
All right, guys. So we are going to get into the top 10 reasons you will hate Superman, Man of Tomorrow. But before we do that, I want to thank Smirnoff Vodka here. While they do not support the channel at all, they do get me through my workday so that I can do these videos for you guys. So, Mantis, there was an article, Fandom Wire, they did about the top 10 reasons you were going to hate Superman, Man of Tomorrow. While I pour this, do you want to?
We want to start at 10. We'll start at the 10th reason and then move up.
Yeah, I think because that's actually probably one of the most newest relevant reasons, right? That they say we're going to hate.
Yeah. Unpredictability of the Netflix WB takeover. I say WB, it is Warner Brothers Discovery. But yeah, so I mean, we kind of touched on this previously. Of what was it like? God, it feels like it's been a month ago, but maybe it has been a month when we did the video on the Netflix merger, offering stuff. That we don't know if James Gunn's going to be still employed with WB around when this is getting edited, because we know James likes to wait a little bit before he does all of his post-production stuff. They'll be in the mix of it, right, kind of when things are in flux. So it could be a case where he gets canned.
I'm shit canning you.
The project gets a new director or a head, and it'll have to be both.
No, at right now, there is talks that the Netflix purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery is in jeopardy, that it not necessarily is going to happen. Right now, that's just some speculations. There was some articles on it that literally had just came out before we had jumped onto this video, so I don't know the full details behind it, but supposedly it is in jeopardy, and it could be the antitrust issues. Who knows? But it is not still guaranteed that the purchase has gone through. The deal has not been signed. So yes, it's very unpredictable on what could happen, whether they actually do purchase it or if they don't. So, what do we got for number 9?
Man of Tomorrow might take the focus away from Superman. Meaning, there's some stories in there that you have a supporting cast that, might take the show, which we may see in Supergirl, actually. But yeah, might take the focus away from Superman. And that may be the case. And people are, like you mentioned, like, it's a Superman movie. Well, should be focusing on Superman. So yeah, could be supporting cast, could be even villains. Who knows?
Yeah, but we talked about this, and you had even brought it up with our Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Is that if Lobo's really heavy into the movie, and we've kind of gotten some new reports that he is going to have a bigger role than we had initially thought, he will steal the show, right? Because everybody loves Lobo. So if you have a good enough villain, yeah, they might take the show away. Because a lot of people, I don't agree with it, but a lot of people seem to think Superman is kind of boring.
Yeah, exactly. You're fucking white bread. You're boring.
So an interesting villain could steal the show.
Yeah, people don't like good for whatever reason.
Because good is dumb.
Evil will always triumph because good is dumb.
Spaceballs reference. For anybody who didn't get that. So then we've got, and this is, I think, probably one of the biggest ones, though, and it's weird that it's at like number 8, is that Man of Tomorrow could start another social media culture war.
Did we ever stop the first one? Like, we're going to touch on that later, but I just feel like we're still in it. I don't know.
See, and that's kind of my thing, is because every single article, every thread, every post that James Gunn does, the people that are going to hate that hated Superman 2025 and are going to hate this one are right there to let them know that they hate what he is doing, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Social media is a loud voice for idiots everywhere. You think before social media, it was all just critics and message boards and stuff like that, and not a lot of people had it. Now everyone's got freaking Twitter on their phone or Facebook or whatever, right? Everyone's got an app that they're looking for, and this stuff is out there. But before, what are you going to do? Like, you going to write into the studio and tell them the movie sucked? They'll be like, who gives a shit?
Right.
You
and
know?
hell, I mean, you may even have a couple of jackasses with their own YouTube channel and one of them's wearing aviators and they're just spouting whatever they believe, right? Who knows?
Right.
So, now this one, it resonates with me a lot on this, especially when it comes to video games, is that Superman fans, number 7 is Superman fans are hard to please. Well, extremely hard to please. Yes and no. I feel like Superman fans want the iconic classic Superman, and they want good writing, good story, right?
Mhm.
But nowadays, there's a lot of people, younger generation especially, they want a more gritty Superman. They want the darker, kind of edgier, like Snyder type cut Superman. They want super ultra powerful Goku style destroying a whole planet. And it's like, how do you balance that, right? And then make him a character that you can give him a good villain, give him a character arc, so it does become very hard. Superman is a very difficult character to make everybody happy.
Yeah. I mean, although, I mean, I will kind of disagree with you a little bit on the video game side. That's a pretty low bar. I would be pleased with something playable that was okay. Like, we just had not very good luck with a Superman video game. The bar is pretty low there.
Well, what I mean is because there was, I think, don't quote me on it. I'll put up the correct title in editing if I fuck it up. But there was Superman Shadow of Apocalypse game. I want to say it was like for PlayStation 1 or 2, but it used the Superman animated series characters, and I'm pretty sure several of them did the voices on it. I liked that Superman game, right? So don't get me wrong, I liked that, and it had a very like animated, like the animated series feel to it, because like I said, they all look like those characters and stuff. I loved that game. I think a lot of us are just traumatized by the N64 version where you had the Superman fog, and I had to go get a power up to get 10 seconds of X-ray vision, where you can only X-ray vision like 2 fucking pieces in the entire game. Stuff like that, right? And then there was the Superman Returns game where we fought a giant tornado as the bad guy. The final boss was a tornado. Now, I love the flying and stuff in there, but you literally just kept going around the city fighting the same 5 bad guys over and over and over until you got to the tornado. Like,
it was bad. It's just very bad. Yeah.
And I don't have a high bar for Superman. I want a Superman game at this point, and now everybody's afraid to make one.
Yeah, well, the licensing's too much, so only AAA studios are going to get the licenses to do it. And we've seen, at least in my opinion, the last, 10 years, the indie scene of games is just better. I don't know why. And they're never going to get a license to do it. So,
but also, how do you put his powers? Like, you'd have to dampen his powers, right? He can't be the fastest, one of the fastest people on the planet. How are you going to fucking put that in a video game, right? How are you going to put the destruction in video games?
It would have to be a saga instant. Like, you would have to do it like how I would want a movie done in that sense. Because you bring up a good point with Superman is he's already pretty powerful. So in the comics, what do? You have, what's the Superman 10,000 or like, he gets going up in power level. You have to increase the villains therein, right? In a video game, you can do that. In a movie, you can't, right? You can't do that. Especially, like, let's just say he starts out as super ultra powerful Superman. Well, you're going to have to bring a super ultra powerful enemy right into that movie without anything else, and it's not going to make sense, and it won't work.
I still feel that they'd struggle to bring it into a video game, and clearly they have, right? Just because, again, how do you bring his powers to where it can be on screen and be playable? But we'll see. Maybe. Maybe. You want to take number 6?
It's the divide between the DC fan base. Did they mean, because I didn't read the actual article, I'm just kind of discussing the points, but what do they mean by that specifically? Did they mean like
No, so what they
movie
mean
fans
is the
versus
different
comics?
versions of comics, like the Golden
Okay,
Age
yeah.
fans versus Silver Age versus the nowadays versus that kind of like are you pre-crisis? Are you New 52 Rebirth? Where are you? Right?
Yeah, most of them haven't read any of it. The large majority of people that would go see a movie, right, not read any of it. They just haven't.
But there's the problem though, right? Because there's the fans like like me who have read it, who are familiar with the Golden Age, who are familiar with the Silver Age, who love that, and that's why when we think about David Corenswet playing the Superman he did was more towards the classic iconic version of Superman with the ideals and everything else that I resonate with and we resonate with. Then there are the younger fans that like by the time they were old enough, they were 10, 12, 13, they grew up with the Man of Steel and the newer comics where again it was a little darker, a little grittier, and that's just, and also it's kind of where we are at in society, right? So that's the one they resonate with. Well, you split the fan base because who do you make him like?
I was gonna say number 6 is actually it's because of number 7. Superman fans are hard to please. So
and the way it's worded, because when you look at just the actual what they have as far as the numbering, 5 has a lot to do with what he's talking about there, because when we say the Henry Cavill shadow, the DCEU shadow,
that's number 5, yeah,
is number 5 right now. Again, they were talking more fan base of the overall span of that, which one do you kind of resonate with, but for the younger generation, 5 there, Henry Cavill has a serious impact. The Snyderverse had a serious impact on Superman fans because they loved seeing him that way.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, like we've discussed it, Henry Cavill's kind of my favorite Superman. I thought the movies could have been better, but I think his character, the way he played Superman, the way he did the best you could do with it. And I like a little edgier Superman. I also like the normal, Golden Age Boy Scout Superman as well.
Shut up! Oh my God, I don't care.
They're just different parts, the different cuts from the same pie. I think is that how it's. I'm not sure.
Cut from the same cloth, I think, is a thing. You go American Pie on here, man. We don't know. We're not doing that. But and it's important when you talk about that, because we talk about like what's going on with number 5 and number 6 there, the fan base and Henry Cavill's thing, right? Okay, Mantis and I do not agree. I don't think Mantis is wrong. He's allowed to like Henry Cavill Superman better. I am Christopher Reeve, obviously, and then I would say David Corenswet. We did a whole video on that, right? Just because of how I like Superman to be, right? Doesn't mean I'm right and he's wrong, or he's right and I'm wrong, right? This is our opinions. You're allowed to like whatever Superman you like, right? The difference is that you don't need to say, oh, you're stupid because you like that one. No, it's just the version you like better, right? But the two things I still love, I have all of the DCU movies. I have both Justice Leagues, right? Like I have them all. Like I love them. But I think this Superman is better, right? And I think if we could do that, maybe there wouldn't be such a divide in the fan base. Maybe there wouldn't be this, because as there's another one on the list that ties into this, we're going to get to. But number 4, Mantis. Yeah,
the Man of Tomorrow's humor and quips might just become too much for audiences. This is something I know people were worried about when James Gunn was even announced to take over the DCU, especially when he was announced to start directing movies and writing them, was his little jokes here and there. And we saw it first with Peacemaker. I mean, not only the character Peacemaker is like that, but there is this style, James Gunn style of funny jokes where maybe there shouldn't be funny jokes or things like that. And it creeped in a little bit with Superman 2025, I think just a little bit. But if he's going to continue that same style of thing and maybe even lay a little bit more on, I think that I kind of agree there. That could turn people off to the movie. Well,
I think another thing, because when we talk about the humor, but we also talk about the quips, right? And the little things there, like with Superman himself, when he's like, gosh darn it, he's like, I could be such a jerk sometimes. That's such a stark contrast to this massive orgy happening in Peacemaker and then making jokes about it, right? Like it's your universe is out, because it was one thing you can say, at least with the MCU, they keep everything pretty well bottled because it's Disney, right? You don't have this crazy, like, I think ironically, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, directed by James Gunn, he drops the first F-bomb in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
So that was it, and that was a big deal. So they keep it a little more reined in, where James Gunn is kind of like, oh yeah, so Superman's this nerdy, like, gosh darn it, and what the hey dude, and then other times you got like ridiculous brutality, and I think those are very stark contrast for people when they look at it. Like, it's so hard, like if you love Superman, and him being that way, right, that kind of classic farm boy, really good-hearted person, these other things seem so much more intense. And I think that's why after it had come out and released for a while, Peacemaker season 2 started to get a lot of backlash, because like James Gunn took it too far. I mean, dude, don't get me wrong, Mantis turned me on to Steel Panther, but they had the song "Fucking My Heart in the Ass" at the fucking finale of season 2, which, if you know that song, it probably drops more F-bombs than almost any other song you will ever hear. And you have that in your show, right? And you're supposed to tie into Superman.
Yeah, I like the quips, the little what the haze. Like, to me, it's endearing, and it shows his character. That's who Superman is. And the way James Gunn, it seems, is you are putting this guy who is a very nice guy. He tries not to be mean. He tries not to hurt, save squirrels. Like, he does these things and puts him in a world where there's violence and all this crazy stuff. Like, that's not what Zack Snyder did with Superman. Henry Cavill's version of Superman wasn't, what the hey, dude? He wasn't like that. He still tried to save people, and those violent and things still happened, but there wasn't the contrast in the movie. In James Gunn, you get that contrast, and I get how, some people can see that as like, this is throwing me off. Like, I don't like this in the same movie, the same feeling like that. I get it.
Well, it's like we talked about with him. So you wouldn't want to see Deadpool and Captain America in a movie together, right? Now, it's funny because we've seen him a couple of times, because him and Chris Evans are actually friends.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen him even though he was Johnny Storm in Deadpool Wolverine. But like, as far as the overall good-hearted nature of Captain America, you wouldn't want to see with a foul-mouthed Deadpool, because you want Cap to stay Cap.
Right.
Still love to see it, but it's a lot of people wouldn't. But
yeah.
This kind of leads into then what number 3 is, Mantis.
Yeah, you want to see a more Zack Snyder version of Superman, or the movie, I should say, would include everyone in the film, not just Superman, obviously. Again, we've seen this. I enjoy the film. I enjoy the darker versions of that. Even when it comes to, like, we want to compare superhero movies, like Christopher Nolan's Batman and Tim Burton's Batman, or the Schumacher's versions, like those earlier ones, the tone of the movie's dark, but the character's not. Now, you get the Christopher Nolan versions, it's dark. It's pretty dark. The movie's dark. The concepts are dark. Like, it just is. It's not very comic booky, cartoony like Tim Burton's was, I guess. Definitely not. Schumacher's was very, very cartoony. So yeah, I mean, I get it. In this version we've already seen of Superman, it's not that at all, and it's not going to be that. So if you're coming in and watching this and expecting it to just suddenly turn into that, it's not going to.
And okay, and I get that, right? You want to, like, the whole point of when you have these characters that span the comics for 85, 80, 75 years and all that, is at some point you want to tell different versions of them, right? People would get bored if you just kept telling the same version over 75, 80 years of a comic book character. But there are the people that, like, again, think that Superman should be Superman. It was the beacon of hope, as Dark Knight should be dark, right? And they're the stark contrast between how they do things. And so I understand. Again, I still like the gritty Superman. My preference is the more hopeful. Like, he's the one that's supposed to be better than me and hopeful, unlike me. Like, he's the one I'm supposed to look up to and think is my hero. So, but I get it though, man. It's hard to be that because, again, like you'd mentioned earlier, and one of the other reasons is that the Man of Steel Superman, he kind of formed how he was around society, right? And society is a darker, grittier version than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And that's kind of,
Yeah.
he took on that persona of basically society.
Yeah, we had this conversation on another topic outside of this video, but like Captain America and the version of Superman we want to see, I say we, like the Boy Scout version, they are moral rocks in their movies and in their universes. When that happens, everyone looks to them to what they should do. They're the moral beacon. Okay, when you start twisting that and they're not doing that, it feels weird. You know, like Batman he's not a moral beacon. He can break rules. He'll do things that maybe some people don't like, but Superman is not like that. So when they start, their morality is subjective, to me, that's breaking the character. So
now that does launch perfectly though into reason number 2, right? Is comic accuracy doesn't always equate to quality. So
yes.
Keeping the character comic accurate, and I know, guys, I know there's been different versions of Superman throughout the years, but for the most part of his comic run, he's always the Boy Scout. He's always held to this, like, he is the impossible standard that humans will never get to kind of thing. Good, right? But does that always equate to quality? Well, no, there's writing, there's the directing, there's a lot of things that can go into it that can take a good character and make them shitty. Vice versa, there are things that could take a bad character and make them better if they have good writing and directing and all that. So comic accuracy doesn't always equate to it. However, the problem you run into is you're making comic book movies. Initially, what you want to do is you want to make it for your comic book fans, and comic book fans don't understand it when the movie's not made for them. However, studios are producing these types of movies to make their goal is to be fucking Infinity War and Endgame level, right? They want the $2 and $3 billion mark. They're not saying, oh, let's just barely break even so we make the comic book fans happy. No, you want to appeal to the entire audience. You got to find a balance. Well, comic accuracy doesn't always equate to quality to your average viewer that doesn't know anything about these characters.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to kind of elaborate, but you pretty much said everything that I agree with. We've talked about it before. Like, my stance on that is like that. It's like, just because it was written that way in the comic doesn't mean it's going to be good on the screen. It doesn't, well, he didn't do that in the comic. Well, that's fucking great. But like, maybe that comic sucked. And it's a good thing they didn't do it that way, because it would have sucked. I mean, I want to be entertained.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
At the end of the road, right? Like, now I'm gonna be a little hypocritical here, because Lord of the Rings, to me, you should not change it.
I knew he was going.
You knew I was gonna do it. Here's the thing, though. Again, this is why it's subjective, right? This is what I talk about. Like, I think the Lord of the Rings books are as perfect as you're gonna get. You don't need to change it for the movie. It's all great. Don't mess it up. It's perfect. So, like I said, I'm a hypocrite. Okay, I'm a hypocrite. In that instance, you don't change it. The comic book accuracy or the book accuracy is perfect. Do not fuck it up. So anyway.
So now switching off of that soapbox there for that, but I get it, because I agree. Like, I would love everything to say comic book accurate, but I get it, right? And I want mine, and that's not fair because I'm not the only one that these movies are made for. So understand it though. However, number one reason, and it kind of ties into several of the other reasons, like number 6 and number 5, that they say fans will hate, is that the Snyderverse fans will always disregard everything James Gunn does. And we basically alluded to this, and by alluded, I mean called it blatantly out at the very beginning, is that, Snyderverse fans, it doesn't matter what James Gunn does, they're going to hate it.
Yeah.
He may put out something actually good, and they don't want to admit they like it, just because in the nowadays society now, people we're at the stage in the world that people will just hate on things just because they want to go against this person, right? There's nothing to do with what actual content is, anything. It's just like, I don't like this person for reasons I was told to not on Twitter, and Instagram. So now I'm going to hate everything they do.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Yeah, and people may like that scenario you brought up where James Gunn may make something that is objectively good, and they're still gonna hate it because they can't be wrong. They don't like being wrong. People can't admit that they're wrong and just move on with their fucking life. It's just I don't get it, but yeah, you're not gonna please everyone, but also there is this. It's kind of in the same vein as YouTube videos and Twitter posts and things like that. You're going to get a lot more clicks on your Twitter post if it's negative.
Yeah.
You just will. So people like conflict. It's human nature, unfortunately. And this doesn't take a back seat to it just because it's movies and comic books. So
see, I love the Snyderverse, but I'm not a Snyderverse fan. I'm a Superman fan. Now it comes in various forms. I'm a Superman fan. I am not going to hate on the character just because there's a certain director. Now, you throw a rainbow flag on his cape and start doing things like that and going hyper into his sexuality and making it just fucking weird because you want to push your own agendas. I'm probably not going to like that, but like I am a Superman fan. You want to make him a little
comics.
Do it. Yeah, right. It was in the comics for 2 issues in 2024. Like, no, but like I am a comic book. I love Superman. Like I like the grittier version. I like the Boy Scout version. I'm not gonna hate on an entire potential universe that could be built here just because it's James Gunn.
Yeah.
Until he gives me a reason to hate. He's got to make something that I completely fundamentally disagree with. Like, I don't like how you did that character.
Yeah.
It's not happening this far.
I agree.
However, guys, you may not agree with us. And we want you to let us know. Now, again, here's the thing. We're telling you our opinions. We want to know your opinion, right? What do you think? Do any of these top 10 reasons apply to reason why maybe you won't like? First off, maybe you didn't like the Superman movie. Maybe you won't like the Supergirl movie. Maybe you won't like Man of Tomorrow, right? Do any of these reasons apply to you? It's okay if they do. Again, it's your opinion. We're never going to fault you for having your opinion. I don't think you're wrong for having your opinion. That's why they're opinions and not facts, right? You're not wrong for it, right? But we're not wrong for ours either. So let us know your opinion. And just, again, if any of these apply to you, or if maybe you think this list is complete bullshit and that you think people should just stop and just let it be.
Follow you. Yeah. What's your, we looked at, these are 10 of them, but which one, do we leave one off? Like which one do we leave off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's number 11?
Yeah. Let us know too, if there's a major one or even one that you just think of that could be, oh yeah, we didn't think about that, because we don't know everything. It may seem like we do, but we don't.
I don't even think it seems like you guys know I don't know everything. All right. And again, keep in mind, this is from article. We didn't make this list up just to do clickbait. We're just going over an article. We thought it was interesting. We wanted to get other people's opinions on it. So while you are letting us know your opinion, you might as well go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. What are you doing there? Fucking chop that.
Trying to point wherever the subscribe button is. I don't know where it's at.
It's down there. Okay.
Oh,
and then have the bell notifications clicked so you will get alerted to everything we're doing, not only in just the regular universe here with everything going on with the Supergirl and Superman Man of Tomorrow, but we have right now, we're way bogged down in everything going on in the comic book world because we have the KO event obviously going on right now, and that turned out to be a lot more issues than we initially thought. When Mantis was like, it'd be a good idea if we did the KO event. Thank you, Mantis. And everything we're doing in the Absolute universe as well. So if you have the bell notifications clicked, you will get alerted, because right now, we're damn near releasing a video a day on that. So have the bell notifications clicked. Let us know down in the comments what you're thinking about this, and do also, if you want to go ahead and comment down if you're already watching and following the things going on in the comics, that's fine. You can do that. Free country. Mantis, do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right, then to keep this shorter than your average TV show, that is going to do it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Later.